Hello, everyone. My name's Lana. I'm a librarian at the University of Adelaide Library, and thank you for joining me today on Kaurna Land for this webinar. I'd like to acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional owners of the land from where I'm presenting from today and pay my respect to elders past and present. And please feel free to pop into the chat if you'd like to acknowledge where you're tuning in from. Also, welcome to the final topic of our weekly webinar series that the library has been hosting this semester. Each week of the semester, we've looked at a different topic designed to give you a bit of an introduction to studying at university. And as I said, this is the last topic that we're looking at for this series. But over the next 2 weeks, we will be hosting a bit of an open conversation where we invite you to come along with your questions about anything that we've covered in the last 11 weeks, and we can tackle them during a bit of a live Q&A session. But for today's session, we'll be looking at an introduction to managing your references with EndNote. For today's session, we'll be looking at EndNote 21, which is the latest release. There is a lot of similarity between 20 and 21 if you're still using 20, but 21 does have a few new features, which some of which we'll have a look at today. This will be a relatively basic introduction to the software. There is a lot to know about EndNote, but hopefully this will just give you a bit of an introduction, a bit of a taste of what the software is capable of, and something for you to keep in mind for the future if you think you might want to use it. We do have a lot more training available, a training course, and self-help guides as well if it's something you'd like to explore a bit further. Okay, so let's have a dive into our content for today. So first up, what is EndNote? So EndNote is a software for managing all of your references, so ranging from journal articles, books, to websites, anything that you might need to use in your assessments that you need to be referencing. So it's a place to store them all in one place. You can put them in manually, or you can import them straight from Library Search or any other database that you're doing your research in. You can also attach PDFs to your individual references, and then you can annotate them in EndNote, highlight them, add notes, that sort of thing. And then you can also use it for referencing in your work. So if you're using Microsoft Word and you need to be doing some referencing, EndNote links in with Microsoft Word, and it will, you can choose which reference you want to include at a certain point, and it will format it, give you an in-text reference, and build your reference list as well. So we'll go through that a little bit more later. I'm just going to switch over to here. So if you want to know a bit more about using EndNote, you need a little bit of help more so down the track, we do have a very thorough How Do I guide on EndNote. So if you're on the University Library homepage, if you go to How Do I guides, and then scrolling down to Reference and Manage Information, and then you'll see the EndNote link here. So this guide here takes you through quite a lot of information. There's a lot of links out to other training areas, knowledge bases, that sort of thing as well. So do take a moment to familiarize yourself with this guide. It's a great go-to starting place if you're a little bit stuck on anything. Now, if you don't have EndNote already and you need to download it, you can get the link through this guide. So if you just click on Getting Started, and then there are some instructions here. If you are on a university computer, you don't need to worry about downloading it. It's already on there. But if you are using your own laptop, your own computer, there's a link there for students and staff to download through the IT portal. Now, I'm not going to download it today because I already have EndNote, but I will show you what it does look like when you first create a library. Okay, so this is just another demo library that I have, but I'm just going to close this so we see what it looks like. So this is what will pop up when you first open up EndNote and you don't have a library. So you can create a new library. And the thing that we always say when you're creating an EndNote library is never ever save it to the cloud. So don't save it on OneDrive, don't keep it saved on Box, anything like that. Always try and keep it on a hard drive, so on your actual computer, rather than the cloud, because sometimes, because there's a lot of syncing happening, it can corrupt your library. So you don't want to get stuck with that. So always, I just go to the C drive. I've got an EndNote folder here, and I might just call it demo library for today. Save. Okay. So this is a brand new, fresh EndNote library. It's got nothing in it. So let's have a little quick look at what we're looking at here. So on the left-hand side, this menu here, this is sort of where your organization is. So you can have a look at all your references you recently added, your different groups and your tags. The middle panel here, this is where your individual references will be listed. And then over here on this third panel, when you click on individual references in here, we can't really see anything at the moment, but you'll see a summary, you'll see an edit panel. So you can go in and you can tweak data, you can add things in there, and that's where you can see your PDF if you've attached one in there. So let's have a go at importing in our first reference. So I'm going to go back to library search. So just on the guide, so I'm just going to go library. And I'm just going to search for artificial intelligence as a topic. Okay. So let's say you're having a look through and go, okay, yep, I'm interested in this one. I want to put this in my EndNote library to save for later. There's two different ways you can do this. They're quite similar. You can either click on the three little dots here and it'll open up a little menu there for you and you'll see the EndNote desktop icon. Or if you just click on the item itself and you just want to have a little bit more of a look at it, you've also got the EndNote desktop icon there. So it's as easy as clicking on that, hitting download, and it will download a file. Doesn't matter if it's the same, as long as you've already imported it. So I'm just going to replace a previous one that I've downloaded. Now I'm on Firefox, so it will pop up here for me. If you're on Google Chrome, it might pop up down the bottom. So just wherever it downloads, all you have to do is then click on it and just do something in the background. You can see, okay, so it's opened up EndNote for me, and you can see that it has brought my first reference in there. So you can see now on the left-hand column, it's populated because we've only brought in one reference, but all references, we've got one. Imported, it's got one. Recently added, and unfiled is one because we haven't sorted it into any groups or anything like that. Okay, so now you can see on the summary panel now, it's got a bit more data in here. So you can see it's got the abstract there. It's got a preview of what the reference looks like. You can switch between different reference styles. So it's on Harvard U of A. So when you first download EndNote through the university, it should come with Harvard University Adelaide referencing style. If it doesn't, though, you can go back to the guide and you can download that separately, and there's instructions to do that, but it should come with it there already loaded for you. But you can switch between a few different ones. I think there's about 7,000 different types of referencing styles, but you probably just go with a few or the couple that you're familiar with. So most popular is usually Harvard, could be APA, could be Vancouver, something like that. So if you need to switch between, you can just literally just switch between and you can see another preview of how it's going to look. If you need to edit anything, if something doesn't quite look right, you can jump through to the edit tab here and you can see all the different fields that you can fill out and you can edit any of those and you just hit save there. And then you can also attach a PDF. So this is where you can come to attach a PDF. So you might want to download the book first. So let's go download the book. So if I just go back, you can't always download an entire book, but this one you can. Usually though, you might download journal articles or whatnot. So I'm just going to go through to the link to download book. Just take note of what it says. I might just go Pratt 1994 AI, just so I know which one to grab. Save that. Let's jump back to EndNote. Okay, so if I go attach PDF now, in my downloads, so there it is sitting there at the top anyway. Open. Okay, so now I can see the PDF attached to that reference, and you can open this up a little bit more and you can scroll through and you can see the whole book within EndNote there. You can make it bigger if you want. You can hit this open reference in a new window and it'll just make it a little bit bigger for you. And then there are tools to highlight, add notes, all that sort of thing. back to the summary. Now, something to keep note of when you are importing these references in, the reference that it generates that you would be able to bring into your work is only as good as the data that comes with it. So while it's quite good at putting things in the right order, making sure the right fields are input, it's not great on things like capitalization, putting in fields that you would know you wouldn't have to put in for that particular example. So here for this one, if you're familiar with APA, it's got the first edition indicated here. But with APA, if it's a first edition, you don't need to indicate it. You only need to indicate if it's a second edition or above. So what you would do then is you would go into the edit panel, scroll down to where it's got something filled in on the edition, and just delete it and hit save. Okay. If we go back to the summary, we can see that it's got rid of that first edition there. So that's looking a little bit nicer. And then, as I said, with capitals, again, if you're familiar with APA or Harvard, we generally only capitalize the first word. So it's capitalized intelligence there. So again, you would go into the edit and just change that. So it is a lowercase. So just little things you need to keep an eye on and tweak as you go, so you know that it's coming in and it's going to give you the reference formatted there properly. So let's try adding more than one at a time. So if I go back to library search and here, just get out of this one. Okay, let's refine the search a little bit more. Let's go artificial intelligence and work productivity. And then I might just go online only, peer reviewed, journals, apply those filters. Okay, so we're down to 47 results. So when you're adding multiple, if you're scrolling through a list and you're going, yep, I like those. So you can pick and choose. So what you can do over here is you can hit the checkbox on the different ones that you're interested in. So if you're happy to pick and choose, you can do it this way. If you want to take all of those results, so let's just untick those. So we've got 47 results here. You'll see when I start clicking on these, it pops up with this option to export all results. I would ignore this. I've had to play around with it and it's not as user-friendly, I suppose. What it does is instead of giving you a file straight away, it will ask you to put in your email and it will send you the file. Sometimes it can be straight away, sometimes it can be a few minutes, but it also ignores all of your filters. So if you've narrowed down to a certain year, certain type, it will ignore those and just give you the original number of results. So when I tried this, I got the original 85. So it's not great there. So if you want to do all of them, this one, so there's 47 on this page. So you can make it so that it shows, I think I've already got it set, more than the standard 10 results. I think I've got it set to 50. So you can see that I've already got it set to 50, so I can see all of them. Sorry, just going to go back to the top. So what you can do if you wanted all of them, you can hit this checkbox and it's got all of them there. So just ignore this export all results and you can go to the 3 little dots there and then EndNote desktop that way and then download. So you want to get to this download button, not somewhere where it's asking you to put in your email or any other information. Okay. And that's okay to replace it. We've already imported that previous file. Okay, it's downloaded. So let's open it up. It might take a few more seconds because there's a few more results there that we're importing in. Okay, so taking note of a few things, we'll see that we've got 48 now in our all references, which makes sense. We had one previously, we added 47. Every time you import a new batch, a new file into EndNote, this will reset. So we've got the new 47 here. Recently added, we're at 48. Now, if you right click on this, you can change this. So it's default to in the last 24 hours, what you've imported in, but you can go all the way up to in the last 30 days. So you can tweak that as you need if you like. And again, 48 unfiled because we haven't sorted them into any groups. So now you can see you've got your list of imported references here. You can already see, okay, there's a lot of capitals in there. So you're probably going to have to go in and fix that one up there. So depending on which referencing style you're using. Okay. So now that we've brought some in, we've got a few references going now, it might be time to start thinking about how we want to organize these references. So generally we do say to only have one EndNote library at a time. You can do multiple, but you can only sync one at a time. When you're working in a Word document, you can only use one at a time. But because you have the ability to sort things into groups, if you're doing different research projects, you can have different groups just for those research projects. So we do recommend just having the one EndNote. So in terms of organization, there are two different ways you can organize your stuff. The most, I suppose the most common way is using groups. So these are like folders. So you can have, there's two levels of folders. You sort of have a main group set. So that's your main topic. And then under that, you have your different groups. So your subgroups, your subtopics. And then there are tags, which is new to EndNote 21 only, and they just provide another level of organization. They give you a bit more of a visual organization. They come up with little colored tags, and I'll show you how to do that. So to create a group or a group set, you might want to start with a group set. You can, if you just hover over My Groups and then right click, it'll give you that menu option there. So to create, we're going to start with a group set. So we want a new set of groups. So group set, and let's call it artificial intelligence because that's what we're researching at the moment. Oh. Okay, so your groups there, but now we need, so your group set, but now we need some groups under that because you can't sort into a group set. You need to sort into a group. So if I right click on artificial intelligence where I want to create my subfolders, then I can start creating some groups. So we just did a search on work productivity. So that can be my first group, and you might have other multiple groups. So then, so all references, we had that extra book, but imported references, this was all just about artificial intelligence and work productivity. So I'm going to take all of these and pop them into that group. So what you can do is you can highlight them all. So Control A or Command A, I believe it is if you're on Mac. And then the easiest way I find is if you just click and drag it in. So you can do it that way, or while they're all highlighted, if you keep them all highlighted. If you right click, and then you'll see add references to. So you'll see you can't add it to the group set that higher level, but you can add it to that group there. So let's just see that. So now you can see those 47 are now sitting in there. And if you click on it, then you can see them sorted in there. You can see them if you've got multiple groups under there, they will all appear together in the one group if you click on that higher level of artificial intelligence. Okay, let's move quickly to tags. So tags, as I said, are a visual way to organize your stuff. So you can, so next to my tags, there's a plus icon there. If you click on that, you can select which color you might want to do. So let's start with red and say keep. Create tag. Okay, it's just popped into, so this is where it would be all filed. Let's create another one. To read, and I'm going to make that one green. And then maybe literature review. It's maybe you come across some things that would be good for your literature review. And then maybe methodology. So maybe you've come across some articles that have good methodology in them. Something. You can literally use that for whatever you like, however it helps you in organizing. And then same as groups, if let's say, well, I'm just going to hold Control And say, okay, I need to read all of these. So I'm going to drag them to read. And can you see now it's got those green little tags there. And you can have multiple tags on the one. So let's say, okay, I also want to keep that one. Okay, so it's added up one tag. So just a visual, another visual way to organize your library. Okay, so let's jump into Microsoft Word. So using Word and EndNote is another big draw card, I suppose, of using EndNote, is that it helps you with your referencing, doing your in-text citations and building your referencing list. So when you first download EndNote and you open up Word again, you will notice a new EndNote tab that has appeared in there. So this is where you can add in your citations, change the referencing style. So this method is what we call cite while you write. And there are a few things to keep note of or be aware of when you are doing using cite while you write. So you always want to start with a blank document. I didn't realize this was all in capitals. It's like I'm yelling at you. Okay, if you've got documents that already have track changes or comments or anything like that, don't use that with EndNote because there is a lot of coding that happens behind the scenes with EndNote. So if it's already got track changes, which again is sort of some hidden coding, it can sort of interfere with each other and won't always play nicely. Again, I'm still on capitals. Don't save to the cloud. So keep this document, this working document that's linked to EndNote, keep it on your computer, on your hard drive, on USB, not in OneDrive, not on the cloud. Only use one library. So you cannot bring in references from multiple libraries. You can only bring it from the one library file. Don't try to backspace. So when we insert references in, because it's got that coding in there, if you highlight it and try and delete it, it can sometimes leave a bit of code behind and it can just corrupt. It can sometimes corrupt or it just can make it a little bit messy. So don't try to backspace. There is a way to get rid of references if you decide you don't want to do that or you've changed your sentence or whatever. And then lastly, make sure EndNote is open when you're trying to insert your references, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so I'm going to leave my cursor where I want my reference. Head over to the EndNote 21 tab, and let's just insert our first citation. What do I want? What are we doing? Okay, so let's just pick any. Sometimes it can lag. Oh, it was quite quick. That's good. When you first insert a reference, just because it's, I suppose, getting that initial connection there. But that was quite quick, so that was good. So you can see that it's put an in-text citation there, and then it's also started building our reference list down here. If we go back to EndNote 21, so it's currently sitting on APA 7th. If you go, oh, that's actually not what I was supposed to be using. I'm supposed to be using Harvard. You can switch to Harvard, or if you need to select another style, you can go in there. So we go to Harvard. Okay, so then it's updated it automatically and it's changed the reference list down there. So now it's in Harvard style. If it doesn't, for some reason, update, there is the option to update citations in bibliography. It's just like a little bit of a refresh. So if you ever have to go back into EndNote and edit something, you know, say I need to put in a capital or take out some capitals, after you've edited it in EndNote, just come back and update your citations and it should bring through those updates. Now, so I'm just clicking on that. You can see it's highlighted. So that's when you know that it's an EndNote linked reference. So to get rid of it, you would need to go to Edit and Manage Citations. It's got the reference there, this little drop down, and you would go Remove Citation and OK. And it's taken it out, and it's also taken it out of the reference list. So you don't have to worry about odd references sitting in there. Just go back to insert. You can insert multiple at a time. Sometimes you need to refer to multiple references. So I'm just going to go, let's go all three of them. Okay, so it's formatted them with the in-text, and it's given us 3 reference entries there as well. And another little thing, if you're referencing with Harvard, sometimes you usually need to put in a page number, so you can see that it doesn't come up with a page number. So you do need to go in and do that yourself. So just click on whichever one you're interested in putting in a page number, and then again into edit and manage citations. And then you can choose which one you want to put in pages. So let's say we read page 7 for this one. Okay, so you can see it's put in page 7 down there. Okay. All right, so I am taking note of the time and we have quickly run out of time. So that was a very, very quick intro to using the Cite While You Write feature. Now I will show you where to go if you want to do some more training or get some more help. So I've already pointed out our How Do I guide, which is in there. We do have a My Uni course, which takes you step by step through the basics of setting up your library, how to add references. So it is a really good course if you want to dive into EndNote and have a bit more of a go at it, more so than what I've been able to show you today. So if you jump into services for students, it's a bit tricky to find. But if you navigate to training, and then on this page, if we scroll down, you'll see the EndNote Essentials course here. So you can jump in and out of that at any time that you like. Also on our guide is links to Clarivate, which is, I suppose, the owner of EndNote. So they have quite a big knowledge base and FAQs, and they provide a lot of good support with EndNote. So if for whatever reason you've got a very tricky question and we can't help with it, we can reach directly to Clarivate and they can help us with that. Now, let's just go back here. Okay, so we've run out of time. There's so much to EndNote. We could probably do a 2-hour session on this, but hopefully that gave you a brief introduction to what it's capable of. There's so much more functionality to it, so many more things you can play with. But hopefully that gave you a bit of an intro. So as I said, this was the last topic that we're going through this semester for this series, but for next week and the week after, we are doing a live Q&A. So we do invite you to come along. Please bring your questions and we'll answer them live. So I know there's a lot of assessments going on. If you've got any little tricky questions that you'd need answered or you're not sure where to go, we're happy to help there in that live session. So today we went over downloading EndNote, where to go to find it, using our How Do I guide, a bit of a tour of the library, inserting references from library search. You can import references from databases as well. They do work quite similar between the different ones, but that's another option you can explore there. And yeah, just a quick intro in using it with Microsoft Word. So it's a pretty cool tool. There's a lot to it, so I do recommend you have a play with it. And always don't hesitate to reach out to the library. We're happy to answer your questions on anything EndNote related. How can we, okay, there's a question in the chat. How can we have a backup of our library? Yeah, so when you first save your library, you'll see that there's 2 files in there. So you would need to take both of those files and you can copy that, put it on a USB, something like that. There's also the functionality to sync with a online account. We call it EndNote Web if you're using EndNote 21, and it syncs to like an online version. So if you're regularly syncing and something happens to your saved one, you can restore it that way from your online library. So there's a couple of different ways to back up your library. There is more information in the How Do I guides on that as well. Well, if there are no other questions, I'll hang around for another few seconds, but if there are no other questions, thank you very much for joining me today. And we do hope to see you in our following sessions. Otherwise, please don't hesitate to reach out to the library at any time with your questions. We're happy to help. Thanks all.